Every time you get a chance to witness this scene, you feel lucky. Nothing like it.
Man, this is what it's all about. This is what college football is all about. I've said this is the best scene in the country.
I love and appreciate you guys. Understand this. We didn't get here without every single person in this room. We got here together. Let's finish this thing together. Everybody got me? Let's go do this thing.
Welcome to Whiteout Weekly, covering everything Penn State football. It was a weird year last year, Dave, with limited to no fans in the stadium. Kind of felt like some scrimmages were happening. All conferences were in play. Some people were opting out. Didn't really feel like a real year, but now we're back in business. Fans are going to be in attendance. Feels like college football's kicking into full gear. How are you feeling about the season?
Most important thing was that last piece. Fans are back. Traditions are back. The whiteout is back. It's going to be a really, really good year. Much different. I think you're right. Last year off and, ready to kick this year into gear.
Speaking of last year, we started 0-5 and then ripped off those 4 wins. Somehow we're ranked number 19 in the AP poll. And then I think we're number 20 in the coaches poll after being 4-5 in the conference last year. But got to take talent into consideration. But let's break the roster down right away. We're starting from the top. I think coaching is obviously most important in college football. We got a new OC, Mike Yurchik, big air raid guy. If you want to give us a little more about him.
Yeah, Yurchik has had a very successful career recently at Texas. Oklahoma State, Ohio State, to name the few. Coach Justin Fields, Mason Rudolph. A lot of explosive plays, which should give us a little bit, more of a familiar taste like we had with Moorhead in that Big Ten title year. So excited to see how Clifford adapts to the new offense. Clifford is he's got some wheels. We're clocked in at about a 4.5 40. So people might forget that he's pretty fast. But really looking forward to see what the on-field product that we'll see this weekend. I think they made some announcements this week with who's going to be in the booth and who on the field. So Yurchik said he will be on the field. He was a firm believer in that direct contact, not only with Franklin but with his guy, so with Sean. So hoping to see some things right out the gate. Should be a big difference from last year with Kirk Ciarrocca. Found ourselves in November, December. I know I was banging my head against the wall with 70 QB draws a game.
Oh my God, that was absurd.
So, excited to see, that 43 points per game, that 8.3 yards per carry that Yurchik has been averaging, since 2013. So I think big things in store.
Yeah, I think he's averaged above 40 points per game. It's Big 12, but he's averaged 40 points per game in every single offense that he's touched. But I think the big thing for me is Clifford, just with his turnovers. Those have absolutely killed us. He has to take better care of the ball. But I think down the stretch in our 4-0 run, he only threw 1 interception, which making strides, but those turnovers absolutely killed us early in the season. They just completely got us out of the season.
Yeah, so, I think you saw it. I think you saw it in the Iowa game last year, where the first couple drives, I think everyone tuning into that game saw that he was shitting himself. So, starting off with a tough test in Madison, in Camp Randall, full house, they'll be jumping around. But so he's definitely got to shake that. Turnovers are going to be critical. You got an inexperienced D-line, which we'll get into, putting pressure on the other team. But, yeah, he's got to take care of the ball.
Camp Randall's a huge factor going into there. And then our protection, always a big thing in Big Ten. We have 3 returning offensive starters, right?
3 returners, yeah.
We have Rasheed Walker, redshirt junior, 6'6", 320. Mm-hmm. Mike Miranda, who moved, right, from left guard.
Yeah, he's filling in behind Mike Mennett, who's off to the NFL. Actually just got cut by the Cards today, which sucks. But Mike filling in for Mike Mennett. But yeah, and then you got Juice Scruggs in there at right guard. kind of hold down the fort. Came out this week, announced that they're not going to be releasing pregame depth charts this year, which seems a bit odd. But, from what I gather, it sounded like Franklin made it sound like the local media knows who's going to be getting the snap. So I think that left guard is still the key position battle, especially heading into week 1. But all indications are that Eric Wilson, the transfer from Harvard, and Anthony Wiggin, who really surprised a lot of people, not only in spring ball, but also in fall camp, kind of made it sound like those two guys are going to be rotating at that left guard spot this year, or at least in week 1.
And then right tackle, Caden Wallace, right? Redshirt freshman, 6'5".
Yeah, a lot of folks saying he could be the best lineman we've had in a while. And, from looking at from an NFL translation perspective, prominent Penn State lineman, I think you got to go back to maybe Levi Brown. You got Donovan Smith, who's in there with the Bucs right now, but not a whole lot. But it's been a while.
Some interior linemen have popped up.
Yeah, for sure.
Sticking with the offense, we'll go with some of the weapons that Clifford has to work with. Let's go with one impact player and one kind of like breakout player that we both have on offense going into 2021. So I'll give you the honor of going first.
Yeah. So I think for me, you got to look at the wide receiver position. I think you're set definitely on the outside with Johan Dotson. The year he had last year, finished just shy of 1,000 yards. So, he's going to be getting a lot of attention this year, a lot of superstar type plays. But I think really the eyes you're looking at that number 3 spot. I know you'll touch on, Parker in a little bit, but I'm looking at Keondre Lambert Smith, freshman last year, only about 15 catches. But, big body, big frame. There's a lot of guys that have been, speculated at that 3rd spot. You got him, you got Cam Sullivan-Brown. But I think I'm looking forward to Keondre Lambert Smith, stepping up here, starting in week 1.
Especially in that new offense. I mean, I really hope that's just like a completely dynamic offense. But like you said, I'm actually going to go to my impact player, Parker Washington, true freshman last season. He's a good, not great route runner, but he just always finds a way to get open. And he's so slippery in the open field. He's got very secure hands, and I think he's going to have a lot of attention based on the way Johan Dotson's been playing. So I think he's going to get the ball a lot. And I think he's going to be a key component to this offense in 2021.
Yeah, I think you're probably looking at 2 guys probably finishing in the top 10 in the Big Ten in catches for sure.
So Keondre was your breakout.
Yeah, Keondre.
So
and then, I'll add one more to that, Theo Johnson. I think, you look at the tight end group, a lot of folks saying it could be the best group that Franklin's had. And the best group that, Penn State's had in a while. I think you look at last year, Pat Freiermuth off to the NFL with the Steelers, thinking how are you going to replace that? But I think they got 3 guys, that could really step in, at any time and kind of really step up. Brenton Strange, 6'3", 250. He's a big dude, had some live game reps last year, had a couple touchdowns. But I think Theo Johnson, true sophomore from Canada, is an athletic freak. I think he's up in the Lash building with at least a 4.5 40. I really look forward to Theo, kind of stepping out in a lot of those 2 tight end sets, and kind of acting like the as a 3rd wide receiver.
He was close to my 1B. We've like really become like tight end U almost. We've had Jasicki. We've had so many good products come out of
Jesse James. Still kicking in the NFL.
Yeah.
So yeah,
some great products come out of there. So my breakout is kind of going with towards yours. It's going to be a little bit of a unit breakout, if you will. If that's kind of breaking the rules, but it's going to be the running backs. I think Franklin's best seasons are when we have dynamic running backs. Obviously, Saquon and Miles are different breeds. But if we have No Kane and Lovett, the grad transfer from Baylor, having a nice 1-2 punch where Kane could be the elusive component and then Lovett could be the one-cut back, I think that can add a whole nother dynamic to the offense that not only is Juricic going to bring passing-wise, but we need that run game to open it up.
Yeah, I mean, all indications are that Noah Kane's healthy, ready to go, and in the best shape that he's been in. So, but I think you got a really, really solid group, probably the least talked about group in the country.
Really? And
but
like
probably
Jordan
one of the
Lovett,
best,
that
one of the
transfer
best
was
running
like,
back rooms. Yeah. And, I think it says a lot that Lovett decided to transfer here.
yeah,
Coming from Baylor, came into a situation where he knew he was going to have to work for reps. But I think you look at, a Miles Sanders, who's now with the Eagles, he waited his turn behind Barkley. So, recruits are starting to understand the program that we have here, with the Long Boys, and they want to get in line and, get their shot.
yeah. It's not quite not quite to the Alabama level, but it's kind of like, everyone waits their turn and then eventually,
Yeah,
you're going to
for
shine.
sure.
So let's move on to the defense where things are kind of mismatched from Penn State normality, where our secondary is kind of our strength and our defensive line is kind of our weakness. We have one returning defensive lineman coming back, Mustafa, defensive tackle. He'll be coming back. Other than that, I'm super worried about getting pressure on Wisconsin, especially because their O-line is just freaks. I'm pretty sure they're all seniors or all at least juniors or seniors. So that's going to be
they know how to breed those O linemen for sure.
So let's go with your impact player on defense.
So impact player, really looking for, I think Brandon Smith's getting a lot of the attention at the linebacker spot, and righteously so. But I'm really looking at Curtis Jacobs at that Sam spot, former 5-star recruit, got some live game action last year, due to some injuries, was able to step in, but he's kind of solidified that spot down. So really looking forward to see him making some plays out there, at that Sam spot, able to kind of drop back in coverage while also helping in the run. But I think Curtis Jacobs for sure. And then Arnold Ebikete, nicknamed AK. So transfer coming over from Temple.
I think you know that pronunciation.
Practiced the one a little bit. But AK, second team All AAC last year, getting kind of thrusted in the role with Adisa Isaac being announced out for the year. He was kind of sought after to fill that spot, left behind by Shaka Tony and Jason Owe, are off to the NFL. But, hearing a lot of good things in camp with him, ready to take on that role and, really produce for us.
So, yeah, two guys who hopefully are going to step up. And last year was kind of, going back to your Curtis Jacobs comment, was kind of a gift and a curse because it was a COVID year. We were starting a lot of younger players, but we got to see them in certain roles and certain opportunities that we otherwise wouldn't be able to see. So I definitely agree that Curtis Jacobs has got to watch. For me, mine's kind of obvious. It's one of the senior leaders of the defense, Jaquan Brisker. I think he's the heart and soul of that secondary, which is the strongest unit of the team. And I think he's the heart and soul of the team, to be honest. Some stats on him. He led the team last year with 6 pass breakups and was 3rd in tackles as his first year as a boundary safety, which is the strong safety who plays like towards the sideline on the weak side. So I think he's in for a humongous year. And sticking with the secondary theme, my breakout player is a true freshman, Kaelin King, who actually enrolled back in January with his twin brother, Kobe King, right?
Yep. Yeah, Kobe King.
Linebacker, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
So,
or linebacker rather.
Yeah, so they're both there. But Kaelin is an absolute freak. They're both in Detroit. Kaelin's 5'11", 183 D-back, 4-star recruit by 24/7 Sports. And James Franklin called him probably the most advanced freshman we've ever had since I've been here. He's been grinding practice, intercepting balls left and right. And I think we could see him carve out a role potentially like early season and get on the field a lot and make some crucial plays for that defense.
Yeah, all indications that he's going to get on the field, whether he's, next in line after Porter and, Castro Fields, but, all indications that he's going to make some plays for us.
So let's get into the first game. Huge one against Wisconsin. So Wisconsin was ranked in the AP poll. They were number 12, and then the coaches poll, they were number 15, which was a little awkward. We'll give them 13.
Yeah. Split the difference.
So we got number 19 versus number 13, first game of the season. Graham Mertz had a phenomenal beginning of last season, and then injury happened. Injury happened, right?
COVID and then injury, I think.
COVID and then injury. Okay.
Yeah.
My biggest worry is their all senior offensive line versus our defensive line, who has some playmakers but is very inexperienced. And as you mentioned, going into Camp Randall. So right now, I think the line is stuck at plus Penn State plus 4.5.
Yeah, I think most books I've seen 4.5.
Okay. So I think we're both on the same side. Penn State plus 4.5. I've kind of gone over my key to the game, just that offensive line versus our defensive line. We have to create some kind of pressure, or else just kind of run it down our throat, basically all game.
Yeah.
What do you see as your key to the game?
I think the key to the game is going to be really limiting the turnovers. You're starting off in a hostile environment. Whereas Wisconsin, typically, they're going to pound it down your throat, with the run game. I think they look to probably start off how they did last year, with the air raid attack, with letting Mertz kind of sling the ball around. He's got a couple, good targets. He's got Ferguson at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they look to continue that success that they had last year. So it's really going to be a big test for the secondary as well, with all the hype that they've been getting, be able to kind of, shut down that air attack right away. But I think really limiting the turnovers, limiting the short field, lengthening some drives to keep that defense off the field, really kind of see what you got on offense.
Kind of playing into their game, almost like Wisconsin football, controlling the clock, all that kind of shit.
Yeah, what you don't want to see is, Clifford throwing a couple picks, Wisconsin just taking an advantage, and then, that's the ball game, looking at 21-13, whatever it could turn out to be. So, got to keep the ball in your hands.
If I see that, my remote will be through my TV so quickly. All right, man. So we both are on plus 4.5. I honestly thought that Penn State plus a field goal was just the move there, but it's kind of weird that Camp Randall is going to be fucking rocking. They are going to be out of their minds. It almost seems like a toss-up game, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the noon, 11 a.m. local time, noon kickoff, you hope, the crowd's a little sluggish, and not as into it. I know as well as I know, noon games at Penn State were, tough to crawl over to Beaver Stadium for.
And I was going to say, first game in 2 years for some of these kids. So they might be going a little hard. They might not be able to make the game.
Yeah.
So I have this as a win. Going into Camp Randall, win of the game. What about you?
I think this game's going to tell a lot about the way the season's going to go. I think all indications are that we have the most athletic, and biggest, strongest team that they've had, especially in Franklin's 8 years. So it's, put up or shut up time. So I'm sprinkling that money line for sure.
Let's go. All right. So let's jump right into go through the schedule. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Let's do it.
So you both have, got lost here in my notes. So you both have Wisconsin W.
All
right. Next week, Ball State W.
Yeah, I think early lines looking like Penn State minus 14. Getting a couple scores there, but I think they handle business, especially at home.
I hate taking Penn State with big lines. It always it's one of the worst. Penn State at home versus Auburn.
So this one near and dear to the heart because I will be in the stands for that game.
Wow. I think that's going to be a whiteout, to be honest. I think we might have two this year.
I think they might have. I think they said that should be the whiteout game. Early line looking like Penn State -3. I think I've seen a field goal in some books. I think Penn State takes care of business. I think Auburn's on a slight downturn year. I think their over-under is about 6 or 7 for the year. I think Penn State takes care of that game.
I agree with everything you just said. Penn State win. You can tell that we're Penn State numbers here. So you got them starting off 3-0. Then we got a vicious opponent, September 25th, Villanova coming to Beaver Stadium. How do you think that one's going to go?
Basketball, probably a different story. Football,
of course.
I think they cover that spread. Whatever it may be, it's probably about 4 touchdowns or so. But I think you see the Knicks start off 4-0.
All right, moving on. Indiana at home.
Revenge game. I think that image is still in my head from last year. Of Penix reaching for the pylon. I think Indiana, they're on the up. Tom Allen's got a good group there.
Sure.
I think Penn State takes care of business there, though, in that revenge game. I think a lot of players still on the team have that bad taste in their mouth.
For sure. I think that's going to be one of those games where the spread's going to be a lot closer than the outcome of the game. So chalk one up for Penn State again. So we're up to 1, 2, 3, 4, starting off 5-0. Big game, October 9th at Iowa. These are always tough games, no matter what year it is.
Yeah,
I always just
Kinnick in October is not friendly.
Yeah, I always just pencil in Iowa as a loss. I don't know why. But convince me that it's not going to be a loss this year.
I think there's a lot of time, between the beginning of the season and that. So I think you're going to see a lot of key position battles solidify themselves. You'll see some younger guys get some key time. But I think if we're going with our gut and we think that this offense is going to be what it should be, what we imagine will be with Yurcich, I think they take care of business in Iowa. I think they win big.
All right, I'm going to have to go. They're going to win big. All right, never mind. Mark me down. If you said they're running close, then I might have to take the other side. But win big. Go, give me Iowa or give me Penn State. Excuse me.
Okay.
Next one, I think we can both agree. At home, Illinois win.
Yeah, Illinois. Handled Nebraska. That's another firestorm. But I think we're in a good spot there.
All right, so we're rocking at 7-0. Headed into October 30th at Ohio State.
At Columbus, at the Shoe. Tough place to play, tough team.
I've seen one too many of these games just go so poorly that it's impossible for me to predict a victory here. It's impossible.
I think even if Clifford is okay and has a good year, I don't know that he's enough of a difference maker in that role to get you the win at Ohio State. So I think early lines, probably about 12.5, 13.
Holy shit.
Obviously that'll change, as the season goes on. Ohio State's got a brand new quarterback, CJ Stroud. So they got a lot to prove, but they got two studs at wideout, Olave and Wilson.
Olave's
I think
so
Penn
good.
State, I don't know that they get it done at the Shoe this year.
All right. So we're both in agreement that, I think that will be a loss. Next game at Maryland.
Another revenge game. Last year, last year there's a lot of these with those 5 in a row. I think they turn around this year. I think after a slip up at Ohio State, I know this one's on the road again, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in College Park.
Yes, it's in Maryland.
I think they rebound nicely and take care of business at Maryland.
I have controversial take. I think that Maryland they have Tua's younger brother Talia, but I think they have so much talent, underdeveloped talent, not underdeveloped, hidden talent, basically on that roster, that they could make a run this year. And I actually have us losing that game.
Ooh, 2 in a row. Okay.
After a brutal Ohio State game, I think, I don't think we're gonna have it coming.
Oh man, I gotta get my heart ready for that.
Unfortunately, that's my big, because otherwise I just haven't gone undefeated. But that's my big, I think,
there's no fun in that.
Trap game of the season. Next up, Michigan.
Michigan at home. Potential whiteout. I think I've heard student whiteout for this game. Harbaugh, some say it could be his, make or break season, although you think every season's that way for him.
If he's the coach, I'm taking Penn State.
Yeah. I think Penn State has played well against Michigan over the last couple of years, especially at home. I think they take care of this one.
Yeah, marking that W. Rutgers, who actually has a pretty decent team this year. I think they're returning, it's Shiano's 5th year there, so they're returning 19 of their 22 starters. So they could actually be a tough team. I think we'll win, but I think it's at University Park, so I think we will win, but I think it'll be a much tougher game than expected. AKA take Rutgers plus whatever the points are.
For sure. The rivalry that all Rutgers fans want to have with us, that doesn't truly exist there. But Schiano, he's back home. He's building a good program there, good foundation. But I think like you said, the difference is it's in Beaver Stadium. So I think they handle that one.
Yeah. I think actually, speaking of rivalries, our rival should be Maryland. Why not?
Yeah. I don't think you got enough in the bag against Ohio State, to consider them your rival. Michigan,
yeah,
recent history, proves otherwise. But as a tougher matchup, I think Maryland for sure is closer.
Yeah, same recruiting hotbed. We had I forget what year it was, but the Maryland players didn't shake their hands when they met at midfield.
Yeah,
so I would love that. I would love that.
Like you said, Franklin goes into their backyard to steal their recruits. So yeah, for sure.
I would love that. So then last game we got at Michigan State, November 27th.
Ooh, last one. Battle for the land grant. Mel Tucker, he's building a good program there. I think they still got a little bit ways to go. I think Penn State on the road, which is a little tough. We've had some scares, especially as of late, and especially at Michigan State. But I think they finished the year strong and take care of that one. Yeah,
I think their program is just in complete rebuild mode. So I think this will be a down year for them and sort of an easy way to end the season and go into a bowl season for Penn State. So I have Penn State losing 2 games, 1 to Maryland, unfortunately, 1 to Ohio State. You have them losing 1 game to Ohio State, make them 11-1, which means they could go to the Big Ten championship if Ohio State loses 1 game. So looking at Ohio State's schedule, what would that 1, maybe 2 trap games be?
So I think you look at week 2. You got Oregon Ducks coming to Columbus. I don't know that Oregon's got enough quarterback play. They got, I think Anthony Brown is slotted as the starter, but I don't know that they got enough in week 2 to take care of business at the shoe.
You're
looking at you're looking at Rutgers, home against Maryland. I think next you'd look at Indiana as a possibility. Indiana's played them tough. They played them tough last year, when Indiana was on the up.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking there. And then really your last hope is, you're looking at the last week of the year. And in Ann Arbor, right now, 11 a.m. local time kickoff. So really it's Indiana or Michigan where they're going to slip up. Because I think they take care of Oregon pretty handily.
Yeah, they could. I just see Oregon's defense. I mean, obviously, Ohio State's going to have an awesome offensive line, but Oregon's defensive line could bring the pressure that completely rattled Stroud, where he's kind of getting in his head first starting college. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, yeah, they got Thibodeau, who's projected top 5 in the draft next year. So he could.
So that could be the mix-up right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this season, me and Dave, the Croatian Baron, are going to go head-to-head in Big Ten football betting. Each week, we pick 1 game containing 1 Big Ten team. You don't have to pick the Big Ten team. It just has to involve a Big Ten team. And at the end of the season, we're going to tally it up. If you pick a spread win, you get 1 point. If you lose in that spread win, minus 1 point. If you pick a money line and it wins, you get 3 points. If it loses, minus 1 point. If you pick a money line win that is an underdog of over 10 points, you get an 8-point win. So big incentive there. We're going to go week 1. Dave, you can kick it off.
So I'll kick us off. I got Michigan.
All right.
I think they kick off this Harbaugh campaign on a strong note. So they got in-state foe Western Michigan at home. Most books I've looked at, it looks like Michigan's minus 17. I think they start the year off strong. I think I got cover. I got Michigan minus 17.
Lock it in. By the way, we are recording this on Tuesday, August 31st. So that's where the lines are coming from.
Yep.
So you got Michigan minus 17 there. I'll start out with a game that's going to be on Thursday night, primetime Big Ten football. Rutgers minus 14.5 over, or not Big Ten football, sorry, over Temple. Temple is in shambles. Shiano, 5th year, 9 of 22 returning starters. I think he's going to start the year off hot. They're going to scramble him. Boom. Take them all day. Rutgers, -14.5.
Scarlet Knights, baby.
You're up next.
All right, so I am going to go with the Hawkeyes from Iowa.
Right. So we got.
I think they put a halt right away to the Indiana hype and the Tom Allen train. So I got Iowa +3.
I was looking at that.
I think looking at worst case, I'm looking at a push. With an
+3?
Indiana late field goal, but I got Iowa +3 in Kinnick.
Where are you seeing +3? I see -3.
Ah, shit, you're right.
So
I will edit that.
Iowa -3. No, that's
Iowa
fine.
-3. All right, Iowa -3.
All right, there you go. Book it. Iowa -3. I got to keep you on your toes. Can't catch anything by me or slide anything by me. All right, so minus game. I'm gonna go with a team we talked about during the podcast. They're playing, I think, on Saturday. Yeah, they're Saturday midday. They're team we talked about, Maryland. Tolly Tagovailoa, the quarterback. I think they have very underrated talent there. They're playing West Virginia, who's a Big 12 team, no defense. They're going to put up a lot of points. The spread there is West Virginia -3. So I'm going to go ahead and take Maryland money line as my second pick.
All right, lock it in. I might tell you on that one.
In this or in real life?
In real life.
All right. So far, we got none of the same picks. Down to the third one. Here we go.
I'll keep it that way. I'm going to keep rolling with the Brett Bielema train in Champaign. So I'm taking the Illini -5.5 against UTSA, University of Texas San Antonio. So I think Illinois, they're down to their second string QB, Art Sikowski, transfer from Rutgers. But I think they keep that train rolling, and the Bielema era starts off 2-0.
They already had a game, right, Illinois?
Yeah, it took out Scott Frost in Nebraska.
Yeah. And they're playing -5.5. That's kind of a suspect spread. Might be a trap.
It seems sus, but I'm going to roll with it.
So we also talked about this during the pod. Michigan State just in a complete flux. I think they're in a complete rebuild year. They're at Northwestern to kick off the year. I think Pat Fitzgerald's going to have that team fired up. Northwestern's -3, so I'm taking Northwestern -3 spread.
I like that pick.
So all different picks. It could be a huge separation week 1 in the standings already.
Separate the men from the boys.
Week 1, right away. Baptism by fire. All right, that's it for Big Ten betting from Whiteout Weekly. We will see you next week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching and tuning in to Whiteout Weekly. We will be back every week with more Penn State news and information. And once again, I cannot thank you enough for spending your time with us. Lucci signing out.
See you guys.